We all know and love caffeine. Produced in a variety of over 60 plants, one of the most popular consumptions of caffeine is in coffee. Caffeine is naturally bitter, and many enjoy consuming it in the mornings for its rejuvenating and energizing effect it has on the body.
My name is Jeremy Chen. I am an attorney. My pronouns are he and his.
My name is Rhoda Mead, and my preferred pronoun is she, her. And I'm a mom of 2 children. I have a senior, and I also have a freshman. So in a month's period, assuming we'll say on average there's 30 days in a month, I drink at least 2 cups of coffee a day.
On average, I drink 0 cups of caffeinated drinks.
So that would be 60 cups in the month. And I would also add on to that 10 cups of coffee, which I might have extra at the weekends or on the odd occasion I feel I need it.
According to the NCL, the National Consumers League, dietary intake patterns indicate that the consumption of caffeine has remained consistent throughout the 20th century. Additionally, an FDA-sponsored study recorded that around 70 to 90% of caffeine intake is from coffee and tea.
So I make the coffee here at home. I have an espresso machine for which I use a capsule. And I run the capsule twice in the machine, a long and a short. The total amount of coffee in the cup after is about 6 ounces. And then I add to that about 3 ounces of a non-dairy creamer. It's usually a combination of coconut and almond milk.
The average caffeine intake of a typical American adult is around 185 milligrams of caffeine a day, women consuming about 110 milligrams a day, and men consuming about 260 milligrams a day, both on average. To put that into perspective, one 5-hour energy shot contains about 200 milligrams of caffeine per 2 fluid ounce, and one regularly brewed cup of coffee contains about 180 milligrams of caffeine per 8 fluid ounce. Do you find that you perform better in a working environment after drinking a cup of coffee or 2, and how does your mood usually compare with or without coffee?
So I find first thing in the morning, I can't really do anything until I've had my cup of coffee. Once I have my cup of coffee, I feel I'm ready for the day. I can think and I can move better. With regard to my mood, I find my mood I've really found it's the same with or without the coffee.
I typically feel very energetic without any caffeinated drinks. When I was younger, I used to drink coffee maybe around 9 or 10. And I liked it because I was able to put a lot of sugar and condensed milk into it, so it was very sweet. But then after a little while, I stopped drinking it, so I didn't drink any coffee through high school, college, or law school. Instead, I would drink ice water if I needed to stay up because it would be a shock to the system and keep me awake.
Caffeine is actually one of the most thoroughly studied topics in the subject of the human diet. An interesting finding on caffeine actually showed how the darker the coffee roast, the less caffeine it actually contains, contrary to popular belief. For tea, however, the opposite is true.
And I don't feel the need to drink coffee to stay awake or stay alert. I think I'm able to think clearly without it, even when I'm tired. Alternatively, if I get to that point where I feel tired and I think I might need coffee, I would rather take a nap. Taking that rest is much more beneficial in my experience to thinking more clearly and more thoroughly.
While some may argue that caffeine has negative effects on an individual's health, a 2015 to 2020 study by Dietary Guidelines produced consistent evidence that there's no association with caffeine consumption to major chronic diseases and premature death in adults. This does not mean that caffeine is for everybody. Pregnant women and women who are breastfeeding, for example, should not be drinking coffee, or at the very least limit their intake and consult their health care providers. Developing, newborn, and very young children also lack the ability to break down caffeine compounds, so the caffeine will actually remain in their circulation. Children and teens, too, should limit their caffeine consumption due to weight concerns, sensitivity to its effects, and unhealthy usage of coffee as a replacement for sleep. Coffee and caffeine do not stunt one's growth. According to an article published by Harvard Health Publishing, There's no validated scientific evidence that links coffee or caffeine to one's growth, nor is it linked to osteoporosis. This does not mean that there are no negative side effects of caffeine consumption. Excessive consumption of caffeine can reduce fertility or increase risk of miscarriage in women. Caffeine can also worsen heartburn, and high intake may trigger migraines, especially when one withdraws from it. It triggers the release of acids into one's stomach, and that can sometimes lead to an upset stomach or increased blood pressure. And how many of your friends drink coffee?
Oh, all of them. Yeah, everyone drinks coffee except me, so I'm probably the outlier there.
I'd say in my immediate go-to 6 girlfriends, I would say they all 5 of them drink coffee except one. One of them does not drink coffee at all, and neither does her husband.
Yeah, most of my friends are lawyers, so they need their coffee in the morning. I know that for sure. My wife drinks coffee, my sister and both my parents drink coffee. Yeah, it's pretty common that everyone drinks coffee to get going in the morning. I'm definitely the one on the outside looking in on the coffee world.
Side effects of caffeine include restlessness, insomnia, headaches, abnormal heart rhythm, dehydration, anxiety, and dizziness. The more one drinks caffeine, the more dependent one becomes on it, which results in the need for higher consumptions of caffeine in order to achieve the same effects over time. This may lead some to believe that a friend, a loved one, or their self has become addicted to coffee, since there are many beneficial effects in health and performance which may spark a dependence on it. Over time, resistance builds up in the compound, and that results in the need for more. Do you have any other statements on how you feel about coffee in general and caffeinated beverages?
I think I'm delighted I don't do sodas with caffeine, for example, Coke. I've heard a couple of my friends having a very hard time coming off of that when they tried to give it up. I do drink my coffee, but I am aware that 1 to 2 cups is probably okay per day. I do not feel the need to have more, and I don't feel the desire to have more than that. And then I would say I've actually recently gotten into drinking decaffeinated teas, which I've quite enjoyed. So what I'm trying to do on the odd occasion in the afternoon, instead of having that second cup of coffee, I have been experimenting with having a cup of decaffeinated tea, and that is actually working out quite well for me.
Overall, caffeine isn't horrible at all. Of course, as everything is, too much caffeine in your diet is bad for your health. But how much is too much? Well, actually a typical adult should be able to consume and process about 400 milligrams of coffee a day just fine. Does that mean that it won't have drawbacks on your health? Of course not. If you drank 400 milligrams of coffee, your pupils would probably dilate and your body would begin to sweat as your heart rate increases. You'd probably also have a major burnout to accompany your major burst of energy. If that doesn't help you imagine 400 milligrams of coffee, 2 5-hour energy shots or 1 10-hour energy shot contains about 400 milligrams of caffeine. Caffeine is present everywhere in our diets, in coffee, bubble teas, chocolate, sodas, cakes, and more. It's okay and safe to consume caffeine, and under normal circumstances, there's definitely no need to keep a 6-foot distance from any cup of coffee your family makes in the morning. Just be sure that you always get a good night's rest when you drink coffee, because it should never be used as an alternative for sleep.
Caffeine can be helpful for those who need that extra boost. I would say that if you normally drink coffee and you stop for a while, you'll feel those effects. So if you like it and you need it, you should taper off or ease your way back into drinking it or not give it up completely.